Hey, everybody. We will be back soon. Obviously, I'm here going to be live on the radio today. And just wait. We have a lot to talk about, and I'm excited. This is going to be a fun show, interactive show. Everybody, also, if you like anything don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, and leave me a comment for everything. I see we got some people already in the comments here. Matt Mittens, Oklahoma Chicken Can. Good friends there. And if you guys want to be involved in the show at all, don't forget you can text or call in at 309-451-9299. I want to know what you have to say. 309-451-9299. All right, let's get with it. Hey, Bloomington Normal. Welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. I'm your host, Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Illinois State University. And I got a lot to talk about today. Sex, lies, and conversation. That's what we're talking about. Like a game of limbo, the Democrats and the media see just how low they can go. All of that and more today on Speechless. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you're listening on the radio, thank you so much. Don't forget to listen to our advertisers, patronize those businesses. They do amazing work by supporting us, not only just as a station, but as a movement. All of us, each and every one of us are in this together to bring America back. And one of the people that is definitely in that movement that I want to give a shout out to is Paul Garcia Productions out of Central Illinois. Paul Garcia Productions creates stunning and effective video advertisements for local businesses in the Central Illinois area. And I'm sure he's open to doing some more stuff outside of just that. But you got to check out Paul Garcia Productions today because he has done so much to help us. And so what do I mean by all that he's done to help us? Well, right now we are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Rumble. And so you can go look me up, Cities 92.9. You can look up that or Speechless with Kev. And you'll find me, and you'll be able to see me in studio. I'll be looking, as Ty Smith always says, I'll be looking at you, you'll be looking at me, and we'll be having a good-looking time. And it's a great time, and I really appreciate it. But don't worry, if you're driving, stay on the radio. We don't want to distract you too much. And if you like anything that you're hearing or want to have a conversation with anybody or with myself about any of this, 309-451-9299 is that text and call line. 309-451-9299. Okay, now that I got all that out of the way, I got some things to talk about. And so, yes, the title, if you're watching this on YouTube or anything, is Sex, Lies, and Conversation. We're going to start off with this conversation because I had an Uber driver earlier this week, and he had a profound impact on me. Just the conversation that we had in the 10 minutes when he was giving me a ride to a bar. Yes, I'm 22. I was going to a bar. And so I had an Uber driver. He goes by Ozzy, was the name that he told me. Ozzy, if you're out there listening, he said he was going to listen today. I hope you're listening, Ozzy. I appreciate the ride, but I appreciate what we talked about even more. Ozzy, my Uber driver earlier this week, he's from West Africa originally. He's an immigrant to the United States, immigrated here about 30 years ago, and he loves it. He loves America. I cannot tell you, I have not talked to anybody that had as much patriotism as Ozzy in quite a while. Again, a West African immigrant. And he moved here 30 years ago. And I asked him, I go, so why, why did you move to the United States? He goes, the American dream. That's really what it was. That's what he said. It was the American dream. And I asked him, I go, there's a lot of people, especially in my age group, that say the American dream is dead. He goes, no. He disagreed. What Ozzy told me, my West African Uber driver, said the American dream is alive, but it could be slipping. But first he started with why it's alive. Said it's alive because he has another job. I believe he said he worked for State Farm. Loves it. Does amazing work there. But then he's also an Uber driver. And he's making money. And he's doing a lot. What he told me is he's doing a lot better here than he would be if he was still in South Africa. He said America is the only place where you can come to and you work and work and work, and you will see the rewards and benefits of your work. But he said it's slipping. Taxes are too high. Costs are too high. There's division at every turn, every corner. People hate their neighbors. That's what he said to me. He said, you're a really messed up person if you hate your neighbor because of what they look like, how they think, what they talk, how they talk. He said that to me. He said it's not the America he moved to. My Uber driver, Ozzy from West Africa. He said, young people don't get it. Young people don't get it. They don't realize what a privilege it is to live in this country. He said, he moved here for the American dream. And he's still living it. But he's worried it's slipping. And I thought that was really, really profound. Just this random guy I meet. And I think God sent him into my life for a reason. I firmly believe that. My Uber driver, Ozzy. Because he came in when I was just about to go have a good night, socialize, meet some people, hang out with some friends. And he gives me this amazing, amazing story about how he came over here from West Africa for the American dream. And it's the opposite of the left's narrative. We always get this narrative from the left, right? We get this narrative that the American dream doesn't exist. America's an awful place. America's racist. It's sexist. It's homophobic. It's oppressive. Unless you're one of those evil, straight white men like me. Yes, I am the evil, straight white man. No, but that's the narrative that's always pushed. But Ozzy comes, my Uber driver from West Africa, Ozzy. I got to see what he's doing. Ozzy, if you're listening right now, call in 309-451-9299. Talk to me more, man, because he just gave me such a hopeful outlook that destroyed the left's narrative. Destroyed the left's narrative on the idea of America is an awful, awful place. No, but that's not the main topic of the show, but I wanted to hit on that because it was a really profound experience. Really profound and a very refreshing thing to hear from an unlikely hero. But there's a lot more we're going to talk about today. Again, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. You can be listening not only on your radio, but also on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble. You can interact with me. I got some great people interacting with me right now in the comments section. One friend, JRC, just commented, it's simple and not complicated. Life society is all about a life view and not a political view. Living conservatively is not a political view, but a life view, a lifestyle. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is about a lifestyle. And look, and it's about values. That's really what it is. You'll always hear the buzzwords like conservative values, right? And people can slip up. There's a big story this week, and it was not my main story, but again, the title of today's show is Sex, Lies, and Conversation. So somewhere in here, we're going to be talking about sex, lies, and having a great conversation about it. And so people slip up in their values, right? And so one of which made headlines earlier this week from Lauren Boebert, the representative out of Colorado, always known as one of the shortest members of Congress, fairly young, recently divorced, or at least going through a divorce, had a big scandal in which she was in a movie theater with a Democrat, or at least somebody who I believe lobbies, works for, something like that with Democrats. And he was fondling her. There's video footage of this. She was vaping in the movie theater and he was fondling her. And it's really weird. She also got a little bit handsy with him as well. And it's very off character, right? It's very off character. And look, here's the thing is, I've met Lauren Boebert once or twice at a few different events that I've been to. Never had a very in-depth conversation with her. I've always thought she seemed nice enough. She's always voted the right way in Congress. But there's a few things here. There's one is the fact that this could be a slip up. This could be she's going, because she blames her divorce. In all the media, she blames her divorce. It could be her actually just going through a difficult divorce, and she is having some kind of an existential crisis throughout all that, and she's slipping up on conservative values. Or, here's another option. She could be a grifter. Look, there's a lot of people out there that are in politics that are grifters. People that are out there not to actually represent values. They'll vote the right way and they'll say all the right things. But you wonder, are they really in it to be genuine. A lot of them get called out when they're not genuine. And like Liz Cheney, I think, is a big grifter. And there's other ones too. Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, grifters. Absolutely. But is Lauren Boebert a grifter? Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see her behavior following. But again, she was caught vaping and getting a little handsy with a guy in a movie theater. Really, really weird behavior. I just don't know. It's odd. There's also been other ones. Kristi Noem earlier this week got found out for apparently having a affair, a long-standing affair with a Trump staffer. Look, sex is one of the most inconsequential but interesting things in politics. What do I mean by that? When I say it's inconsequential, it doesn't ultimately affect the outcome of our politics. Look, sex scandals have been a huge thing in politics for years. You have Bill Clinton, you have Kristi Noem recently, you have Stormy Daniels and Trump. You have so many. You even have Trump saying, grab him by the P word, you know? We got that. But ultimately, how much has that affected the outcome of our political system? Well, I mean, maybe in some cases people have gotten elected or not elected for something like that. But in reality, even Bill Clinton, who had an interesting affair with Monica Lewinsky, arguably one of the most prolific sex scandals in American history, was not impeached for having an affair because that's technically not illegal. Look, there's questions regarding abuse of power and all that kind of stuff. But no, Bill Clinton's impeachment was for lying under oath. We've heard it, right? We've all heard it. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. That was the lie he told, and he got impeached for perjury, for lying under oath. So what I mean by all this is really the scandal of a sex scandal in politics, like the one I'm about to lay out, is not, in fact, the overt sex act, whatever happened, Bill Clinton with Monica or Kristi Noem having an affair or Lauren Boebert in a movie theater. No, it's how people react to it. It's how the person in question reacts to it, and it's how the media reacts to it. That's where the scandal lies. And so let's talk about this one. Susanna Gibson. She's been practicing the world's oldest profession. And of course, by that, I mean being a politician. But she's also been engaged in a different job that some consider to be the world's oldest profession, and that is selling her body. However, hers was digital. So let's dive into this. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. Out of the New York Post, a Democrat candidate for Virginia House of Delegates performed sex acts with her husband online and asked her virtual audience to, quote, pitch in with tips. Yes, the 40-year-old nurse practitioner, Susanna Gibson, hosted more than a dozen of the live romps with her husband on the platform, which was then posted to a publicly accessible archive on the website Recurbate. So it's all originally live streamed on a site called Chatterbait. I'm not going to break down for you what that website kind of means or does. I'm hoping that you can discern it on your own. But anyways, all of this was posted on the publicly accessible archive in September 2022 after she declared her candidacy. This was originally reported by the Washington Post. Gibson also apparently maintained her Chatterbait profile after having announced her campaign in July 2022, uploading at least one picture of herself on the sex streaming site the following month, according to a screenshot obtained by the Post. So, once again, all of this is public. Everything she has done has been public on Chatterbait, on the publicly accessible posted database of all of it. And not to mention the fact that it's kind of common knowledge nowadays that anything you post on the internet, whether public or private, is still out there in some way. We teach about the digital footprint. In pretty much all grade levels nowadays, they teach about the digital footprint. But this unconventional candidate has racked up more than 5,000 followers, 5,770 followers on Chatterbait, whom she repeatedly pressed for more tokens in exchange for certain acts in private showings, again, which were posted publicly after, adding that she was raising money for a good cause. What exactly is that cause? Not to mention the fact that actually this goes against the site's asking for money in exchange for specific acts, goes against the terms of use for the website. So she was breaking those rules. In other videos, she suggested that she and her husband have tried swapping with different partners as she is ethically non-monogamous. But she, quote, doesn't like sharing. Okay. This is a lot to break down and hurts my soul to have to talk about, but we have to talk about it because once again, the scandal here isn't the sex acts themselves. It's weird. No doubt. It is weird. Weird sex scandals are not uncommon in politics. I talked about this. Bill Clinton, Andrew Cuomo, Trump and Stormy. It just broke this week that Kristi Noem, like I said, had an alleged affair. Lauren Boebert. There's tons. Sex in politics is not new. Now, this one is a little unconventional, I'll tell you. But again, it's not surprising. The real scandal here is how she responded. Yes, Gibson, this candidate, seems to think that no. Anybody who is talking about this, anybody who is posting about it, anybody who is criticizing her for it is a criminal and guilty of revenge porn. Even though she put this stuff out there publicly. We're going to break that down, exactly what she said, what her lawyers are saying, and more in the next segment, everybody. We'll be right back, though. We got to take a break here on the radio. Don't forget, you can go check me out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all that kind of stuff. Text or call in at 309-451-9299. That number is 309-451-9299. I'd love to hear from you guys. We could talk more about this and anything else we're talking about here today. And we will be right back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. How's everybody doing today? Thank you, JRC, for that. I appreciate it. I appreciate the super chat and everything. If anybody else is interested in supporting the show monetarily, I'd really appreciate it. Go check out. You can either send a super chat, or I also have my Venmo and Cash App down there. I'd really appreciate you guys. Matt, happy you got your ticket. Who's everybody in here? Yes, Mo, I obviously, you kind of reminded me about that, so I brought that up a little bit. Liberals must hate their dentists when they're told they need straight white teeth. Yes. Yes, they must. They must hate their dentists. I'm taking off my headphones here for a second. How's everybody doing today? Let me check the weather. Oh, the sun came out a little bit. It was raining here earlier in central Illinois. Didn't love that. But I got some people in here. Let's see what's going on. I got Rumble 2 open. Anybody, if you're watching on Rumble, don't forget, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that kind of stuff, anywhere that you're watching. Listening on the Bluetooth in the cloud, I guess. Yep. We got more to talk about here today. I know I'm losing my voice a little bit. I was losing it last week, still losing it now, getting over a little bit of a cold or something. Also, I went out and saw a band last night, and so, of course, I was singing along and having a great time. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in, watching, listening, everything like that. Thank you very much. Anybody else paying attention to football right now? I got to put a new game on. I was watching the Bears earlier. I got to see what other games we got going on. You got Jets at the Cowboys coming up next. Jets at the Cowboys. Let me get this going here. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. Anybody watching football right now? I like watching the football. How's everybody doing? We're on a break right now on the radio. I'm checking my fantasy football stats, trying to get another game up here so I can be paying attention to that in the background. We'll be back here soon on the radio. More to cover. We got Jets at Cowboys playing right now. 10 seconds till we're back. Leave me a comment, guys. Get involved. Don't forget, you can always call into the show as well. 309-451-9299 is that number. Put it right there on the screen. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, everything like that. Get involved. All right, let's come back here. I'm going to thrive, everybody. And we are back here with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois. Yes, Central Illinois. Obviously, that's where you're listening from right now, likely, unless you're on our app, or you could be watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or Rumble. Yes, all of those platforms we are now on. Thank you so much to Paul Garcia for helping us out with that. And for all of our sponsors here at Cities 92.9 that have enabled us to make some amazing advancements. And if you want to be involved in the show and anything that we're talking about here today, don't forget you could text or call in at 309-451-9299 is that number, 309-451-9299. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking about all this. But in the last segment, I've titled this video on YouTube and everywhere as Sex, Lies, and Conversation, because everything that this show will be about today has something to do with sex, lies, and or conversation. And so I was covering this scandal, it's kind of a scandal out of Virginia, right? Virginia, where there's a House Democrat candidate for their state house that is running, and she got found out this week as having committed or taken and posted multiple videos online of her and her husband having some sex online. And so it's kind of crazy. But like I said earlier, sex scandals in politics are nothing new. And anybody who is simply outraged simply because of that needs to take a look and tries to claim that it's a Democrat thing or anything like that. No, every party has had multiple sex scandals. I mean, Lauren Boebert is kind of caught in one right now. Trump and Stormy Daniels, Bill Clinton, Andrew Cuomo. The list goes on. Sex scandals are nothing new. And if we're surprised by them, then you're not paying attention. No, there's a lot to break down with this. And it's not just the sex scandal. It's really more about how people respond. That's the real scandal. In any scandal of sex, especially when it comes to politics, it's mainly how people respond. Do you deny? Do you take responsibility? What do you do? Well, in a statement to the Washington Post, Gibson, who is the candidate in question, called the publicly posted videos a, quote, illegal invasion of my privacy designed to humiliate me and my family. Yes, true story. So the woman who posted videos and had live videos of herself engaging in sexual activity online claims that people talking about it, posting about it, is an illegal invasion of her privacy. Look, I'm sorry, but I feel like you kind of signed your privacy away when you publicly posted these videos. Does nobody understand that the internet is a trove of where if anything is ever posted there, it will always be there? It will always be there in some form or fashion. There is a digital footprint, and you left it. And I got to take a break here on the radio. I know that's a short segment, everybody, and I know there's still more to cover with this, but don't worry. If you want to interact with me and outside of just the on-air time, you can go to Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or Rumble, and we can talk there. Don't worry, everybody. We can talk there, and I'd love to. Comment, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Share. But you could also interact with me by texting or calling in at 309-451-9299. You will be the first one I answer if you disagree with me. I love when people disagree with me. And that's all you got to do. 309-451-9299 is how you disagree with me publicly. Like I did with my good friend Andrea last week. Last week I had Andrea call in and we talked about anarchism, and it was quite an interesting conversation. But everybody, I still got to take. I'm digressing from the point here. I got to take this break. But we will be right back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. How's everybody doing? Leave me some comments. Let's get the chat going here. Come on. What are you guys doing? How's your Sunday going? I got my Cowboys on the TV. I got my best friends talking to me right now about politics through all the YouTubes and everything. I got my sister texting me. Yep. It's been quite the week. How's everybody doing? Come on. I don't see any chats in here. Let's talk. Maybe over on Rumble. This is true. Oklahoma chicken cam. It's interesting how anything that people do, which liberals don't like, is called illegal. Unless it's actually committing a crime, like jumping across the border or burning down buildings in the name of BLM. I know. Those are mostly peaceful. All that's mostly peaceful. Isn't that funny? You publicly post videos of yourself having sex on the internet and people talk about it and it's considered illegal to you, Savannah Gibson. But you got all these people that burn down buildings, throw hissy fits, break crap in different cities all across the United States, and that's mostly peaceful. And that's mostly peaceful. This is the age we live in, everybody. That's the age we live in. Let's see. Dallas is up 6 points over the Jets. I don't know if you guys are football fans, but obviously I am a bit. Love me some football. We'll be back soon here, everybody, on the radio, talking about this Virginia House candidate. Like I said, Virginia State House candidate. And her very, very public sex life that she now claims it's illegal if you talk about it. Yes, she claims it's basically is like, oh my God, she's, my God. For double standards, they would have no standards at all. Absolutely. Absolutely. Leave me comments, people. I love reading what you guys have to say. This is a show about us, about having a conversation and really getting news out there in an interactive way, because the mainstream media, the lamestream media, doesn't want us to be having these conversations because it draws away from their narrative. But two, they also don't want your input. They don't care what you think. I care what you think. I absolutely care what you think. And I want to have these conversations. So we'll be back in just about a minute and a half on the radio. But of course, we can always keep the action going here on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Yes. We got a lot going on today, everybody. We're just going to keep having a good time. I always love how Ty says it. You guys know, I mean, a lot of you guys watch Ty Smith too. He's like, I'm looking at you, you're looking at me, and we're having a good looking time. We'll be back here in about 30 seconds, everybody. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful Sunday afternoon. I appreciate you guys tuning in. For anybody who is maybe not tuning in live and watches this later, thank you too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and everything like that. See, but now they're trying to scrub it all now, kind of. I know what you're saying there. Really, what I think it is it's to get her into the public eye more. I could see that for her candidacy, and so that she can have something like it's a manufactured outrage. I'm going to talk about that in this next segment because I'm coming back. Hey, and welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. A little less conversation, a lot more action. Well, don't worry. This is a talk show, so you're going to get a lot more conversation, too. And in fact, today, the topic of this whole show, sex, lies, and conversation. Hey, everybody, you're tuning into Speechless right now on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. When I say beyond, it's because we're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, too. And you could be tuning in on any of those. Like, subscribe, share, and comment, all that kind of stuff. But if you're driving, I don't recommend going on YouTube or anything like that because, like, we don't want to encourage distracted driving here. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm getting away from the point, but let's get back to the point. The Democrats and the media are playing limbo, and they're basically just keep asking themselves, how low can we go? How low can you go? How low can you go? That's what the Democrats and the media are doing. And here is an instance of a Democrat going very, very low and going down in more ways than one. A candidate out of Virginia, Susanna Gibson, who is running for a House seat in the Virginia State House, has publicly posted videos of herself having sex acts with her husband. And now people are talking about it. It's been shared in the media. There are people obviously sharing the videos on social media. But Gibson claims that the publicly posted videos are an illegal invasion of her privacy designed to humiliate me and my family. That's what she says. That's what it's for. She continues, it won't intimidate me and it won't silence me. Well, I'll tell you, obviously, there's been nothing that's made you keep your mouth or your legs closed at any time in your life. I can promise you that, Miss Gibson. But she said, my political opponents and their Republican allies have proven they're willing to commit a sex crime to attack me and my family because there's no line that they won't cross to silence women when they speak up. Once again, Miss Gibson, nothing has kept any part of you closed anytime recently. But she says it's Republicans, and she also accuses Republicans of committing a sex crime. Her lawyers claim that anybody sharing or talking about this basically is committing revenge porn under Virginia law. Excuse me, Mrs. Gibson, you publicly posted these videos. You posted them on the internet. Revenge porn, as anybody who actually knows what it is understands, is more of an extortion, saying, hey, this video you may have sent to me or was private is now being posted to get back at you for something or to extort you. Also, a lot of times known as sextortion. No one is doing that to you. You posted these videos yourself, Ms. Gibson. And for you to claim, they even say that the lawyers even say that they're in touch with the proper authorities. Well, I sure hope they get to the bottom of whoever is committing this revenge porn. Oh my God. I hope they get to the bottom of who posted this in the first place. I'm telling you, it was her. It was her. How stupid can you be? How stupid can you be? No, here's the thing. You want to know what I really think it is? Well, I want to get to this first. First, I want to say that, so she claims that it's Republicans and her opponent that are the problem. Well, her opponent, David Owen, the Republican, responded to the controversy and statements by saying his campaign learned about the videos on last Monday, just like everybody else. They didn't release them. They didn't push them into the media more. They learned about it just like everybody else. And he continued saying, I'm sure this is a difficult time for Susanna and her family, and I'm remaining focused on my campaign. He's not He's focusing on his campaign, what he can do for the people that he's running for. He's not focused on any of this, which is what leads me into a very important point. I believe this is a manufactured outrage. I believe this is a manufactured outrage. I think that this is something that this Democrat candidate had done in the past, and I think it's weird. But I think that her claiming that there's all these Republicans that are up in arms about it. Look, here's my thing. I'm not surprised. Do I think it's weird? Yes. Do I think this disqualifies her from running for office? God, no. Do I think she should be silenced? I don't think you could silence her or shut her up if you tried. I don't think you could. I'm really not that mad about the whole sex thing. I don't think many people are like, oh my God, this is like so terrible. But what I will say, here's the thing. Because now it's all about all these people claiming, oh my God, Republicans and your people taking the moral high ground. They're having a manufactured outrage about all of this. About all of her videos that she once again posted herself. The Virginia Democrats have declined to comment on the controversy. God forbid this woman actually take any type of responsibility for her own actions. And because that's why I'm saying it's a manufactured outrage. Because what's the purpose of all this, okay? So a Virginia state senator came out and defended this candidate by asking the question, saying, what does this have to do with her ability to legislate? Well, I'd love to answer that question. Because what she did is not illegal. This site, and you can have the argument as to whether the site that she posted it on should be legal or illegal, anything like that. We can have that argument, but that's an argument for a different day. What she did is not illegal. It's morally questionable, for sure. So the question of what does this have to do with her ability to legislate, it's a valid question. It doesn't have any, what the question begs is, like, what impact does it actually have to do on her ability to legislate? It's not the same as having a serious health complication like Fetterman out of Pennsylvania, or some kind of criminal activity that kind of goes against the entire idea of the office. No. But it does have implications on her ability to legislate. Not overt, covert, I'd say. But I want to beg the question, in answering that one, I want to answer it with another question. What was the reason for these videos in the first place? Because I think it's unclear. Because it's likely not for the money. Susanna Gibson and her husband are pretty well off. They have 2 kids. She's a mother. She's a nurse practitioner. Her husband is a lawyer. So there's little evidence to show that they would be doing this for money, unless the money was in some way for a campaign or something, which at that point would make me have a lot of questions regarding her ability to legislate. But even if it's not for the money, I question her judgment as a person, right? Because this was likely, if it's not for the money, likely for some level of a fetish type of thing, which is just downright weird. And there's other ways to kind of fulfill anything like that does not require you having to publicly expose yourself. There's a lot of ways. And again, going back to the question raised by the Virginia state senator, what does this have to do with her ability to legislate? I question her judgment as a person. How can you, if you're a mother, right? You're a mother, you're a wife, you obviously in some way are involved in your community. One, she's a nurse practitioner, so I guarantee you she's actually, I don't want to say I guarantee you, but I'm willing to bet she's not a awful person. You're a nurse practitioner. You obviously care about people. You care about people's health. In all respects of her life, except for the fact that she publicly posted videos of her having sex with her husband, she seems like a pretty average person, other than that one little thing. So, you're supposed to be mature as a mother. You're supposed to be mature as a nurse practitioner. You're supposed to be a lot of things. And yet you still make this decision. And once again, look, being a politician, being somebody in politics, it's not something that just kind of like falls into your lap one day and you're just like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to run for office. No, it's something that takes forethought. And these videos are not videos that were posted 10, 15, 20 years ago. No, they're within the last like year. And she kept the account active after, and even posted to it after announcing her candidacy. So what's the purpose? What's the purpose? It's a manufactured outrage. That's my belief. Again, my belief, I don't have evidence for it necessarily, but my belief is that it's a manufactured outrage. She posted to it. She continues to post to it so that you can get some fringe people. Well, not even fringe people, so that you can have media outlets cover it. And then you could be like, and then you can have one or two people comment on it saying it's gross, it's disgusting, it's weird, it's morally reprehensible. You should pull out of the race, everything like that. And then you can come back at it and say, I'm being persecuted for my sexual liberation. I'm being persecuted. It's because I'm a woman. These sexist Republicans, these awful people. That I guarantee you that's how she sounds too. But that's what it's about. It's a manufactured outrage that she concocted herself for the purpose of gaining a little bit more notoriety in this race. And now I guarantee you she's going to become a feminist icon. You want to know why? You want to know how I know she's going to become a feminist icon? Is because people that become feminist icons nowadays are the ones that promote the idea that women mean nothing more than their bodies. I'm serious. Look at Cardi B. Cardi B, right? Comes out with a song, WAP. If you don't know what it means, look it up. Actually, don't look it up. Just trust me. WAP, which literally in it says, I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you how I got this ring. And then she continues to brag about how her genitals are the only thing of value that she brings to her relationship and her marriage. So, Susanna Gibson, the one that publicly posted videos of her having sex with her husband, is going to become a feminist icon. Because feminists nowadays, I think it's funny because feminism used to be this thing where it was about, hey, everybody, women aren't just objects. We are autonomous. We have our own thoughts, feelings, and ideas, and we want to work. Okay. Reasonable enough. Let us vote. Reasonable enough. I know some other hosts don't necessarily feel the same way, but it's reasonable enough. And then we get into the sexual liberation movement of like the 60s and 70s. And then it's like, don't objectify me, but like, I also should be able to sleep with whoever I want to, whenever I want to, leading to drastically unfulfilled lives. Drastically unfulfilled lives. And now we have feminist icons, once again, feminist icons, because of the sexual liberation movement that was before my time, but has continued and become more and more perverse to the point now where men can become women and women can become men, or at least that's the narrative that's pushed. Now we have women that are icons and are pushed into the public spotlight because all they are valued for is their body, which is absurd. I should be a feminist icon. Do not objectify women. Women are more than just their bodies. Women have minds that are oftentimes smarter and complement that of men's. They think differently. They have an emotional appeal that is unlike any other. Their ability to connect with others, by and large, is insanely cool. Women are a lot more than their bodies, and they deserve to be told that. But this House candidate for the Virginia State House obviously thinks a little bit differently. And so would Cardi B. And a lot of the feminists nowadays. All right, we got more to cover in the next segment, in the next hour. Everybody stay tuned. We got more Speechless coming up on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, let's see what we got going on here. Next exit. Yep. They understand that even bad press is good press. 100%. 100% chicken cam. Yeah, Ryan. Exactly. Her character is now in question. Again, her ability to discern between what is a good thing to do and what's a bad thing to do. Because I can tell you, there are high schoolers out there that would be able to tell this woman that publicly posting your naked body and having sex with your husband is just not a good idea. It's just not a good idea. I'm getting a call. Let's see who it is. I see you there, Cita 2. Hey. Who am I talking to? This is Kev for Speechless on Cities 92.9. This is George. Can you call back at 4? I got one more segment here. I could take you for 2 to 3 minutes at the beginning of the next hour, okay? All right, sounds good. Talk to you then. All right, I will have a caller, George, around 4. City's George. All right, we got Cita here. Feminists allowed men who wear dresses in women's bathrooms, sports teams, prisons, etc. Exactly. Look, I'm a traditional feminist. I am. I'm a traditional feminist. Now, I think there's a reckoning that needs to happen, though, because while, yes, women can vote, we need to find, because, like, men are still the only ones that have to register for the draft, right? If we want equality, we kind of got to look at every sector of society and not just say, oh, voting, okay, voting, good. Voting. And I'm not saying women shouldn't vote. Women should 100% vote. But we need to see and talk about what a truly equal society would look like if we're trying to get to equality, or at least gender equality. Because we have pay equality right now. Anybody who says that we don't is an idiot, because they obviously don't know about the equal pay amendments that have been passed, and non-discrimination clauses that are necessary within employee and employers. But I'm drinking my water and I'm having a good time. And I hope you guys are having a good time too. Let's see what we got here. It's a Sunday of football, everybody. We got another segment here. And I'm going to take it a little bit of a different direction, but I hope you guys like it. So I'm going to take it a little bit in a different direction in the next segment, and then we're going to get back to some of the things that we're talking about. I got a few different stories for the next hour. We're going to kind of wrap this one up. But yeah. Don't worry, we will be coming back. Let's see what we got. Next exit here. Agenda 2030 to decrease population by being immoral, gay, and lesbian quicker than they can by just taking out people with violence. Yeah, I could see that. I'm really interested in, like, I've read up a lot on, like, the Great Reset stuff. And some of it is like, I want to say conspiracy theory, but I want to put like an asterisk next to it. Like, I don't mean like conspiracy theory, like trying to write it off as if it's like not true. It's just simply that it is the idea of a conspiracy. And then it's a theory because obviously, like, not all of it is 100% confirmed. Parts of it need some ties together. But obviously, with things that are said at like the World Economic Forum, it makes it relatively plausible. I'm winning this week in fantasy football right now, in case anybody was wondering. Everybody, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and comment, of course, everything like that. We're about to come back here, wrap up this hour here. There we go. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I am your host, Kev Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois. Obviously, many of you might know that we're out of Central Illinois if you're listening on your radio right now, but others might not, because you could be listening. We have an app that you could be listening on and live stream us anywhere. You could also be watching me right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble. All you got to look up is either Speechless with Kev or Cities 92.9. And you can find me in all those. So if you want to interact with me there and interact with me, I look at you, you look at me kind of thing, and I can see your comments, and we're having a good looking time. Don't forget, you can go to those, but you can also text or call in at 309-451-9299. I know I got a caller I'm taking at the beginning of the next hour. Don't worry, we will get to you. But I got some things I want to end off this hour with, because we were talking all about this Virginia Democrat that's running for state house that posted videos of herself having sex with her husband onto public websites and then gets mad when people start talking about it. It's a manufactured outrage, everybody. It is a manufactured outrage. Nobody is actually, yes, there are people that think that maybe she's not really fit for office. Maybe she has questionable judgment. Um, but nobody is trying to tell her that she shouldn't be allowed to talk. No one is trying to tell her that nobody's trying to silence her. Look, like I said earlier, obviously she has no problem keeping her mouth and her legs open. So no one's trying to silence you. It's a manufactured outrage, but I've been ending a lot of my shows recently with a reminder to everybody. And it's a little bit off of, it's off the path of where I was going, but I want to be clear on a lot of things, is that anything in your life, period. And this is, like I said, this is a change of tune, but anything in your life that is going wrong right now, whether that's the media talking about you because you posted videos of yourself having sex with your husband on the internet, or maybe you're trying to lose weight. Two very different things, but two things that could be not going your way right now. Anything that's going on like that, you can change. You can start today, everybody. You can start today in changing anything in your life. I am a firm believer that the majority of your problems are self-inflicted. And that's not to get down on you or anything. The majority of most people's problems are self-inflicted. Even if you believe that they're from somebody else, the problem you have is how you are going to be able to respond to it. You can do anything you put your mind to. I talked at the beginning of the show today about my Uber driver that I had the other night, Ozzy, a guy from West Africa that moved to the United States and moved here. He told me, for the American dream. And he's an amazing example of what America has to offer. He not only works as an Uber driver, he also works for State Farm. He's a great guy. Has a lot of faith and hope and love for this country, more than a lot of people that were born here that are my age, because he understands what it's like to live somewhere else. Now, one of the things that Ozzy talked to me about is the idea that America is one of the only countries, pretty much the only country, you can come to and make everything for yourself. You can get a job, you can work, you can save. You will be able to have or see the benefits and the rewards for your labor, for your work, for your effort. So where am I going with all of this that I'm saying? What I'm saying is, be like Ozzy. Be a person where you can change, where you change the things that are going wrong. Anything, like I said, a Democrat will tell you that it's everybody else's fault. A Democrat will tell you to sit down because everybody else is oppressing you. It's a conservative, not the liberal, that will tell you that you have the power, the strength to do anything, and you are uninhibited by race, gender, anything, any immutable characteristic. You're uninhibited. Whatever you can put your mind to, whatever mindset you can change, you can turn into action that could cause insurmountable change in your life, for better or for worse. All right, everybody, we got to end out this hour right now, but don't worry, we got a whole nother one coming up soon. God bless you. God bless America. We'll be right back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. All right, I'm getting a call. I got to take this. Speechless with Phares. Who am I talking to? Hey, George, I'm going to put you on hold, and then we'll bring you on at the beginning of the next hour, okay? Yeah, sure. What's up? Sorry about that, guys. I just obviously had a caller that I needed to take. Um, and he will be on with me. We're going to still talk a little bit about that woman from Virginia. And I see I got some great others that have joined into the chat. I got Andrea, my good friend, and consistent caller. Jim, great to see you. Yeah, C to C to. Let's see what we got. Let's compromise. Women who vote should be drafted to if age allows. We have women who have fought in war, but they enlisted. Absolutely. That's the possibility. Um, let's see who else we got in here. He firmly believes America. He says, and I talked about this earlier in the show at the beginning. Um, it's he says it's slipping. The American dream is slipping, but it's still this is still the greatest country. He believes, and he was a very patriotic guy, and I really appreciated him and his outlook and just the things that he had to say. So, Ozzy, my Uber driver, Ozzy the Uber driver. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Let's keep the chat going. That's right. Liberals are self-imposed victims. So flippin' lootly. They are many are. It's not even always self-imposed. A lot of times they put other people into a victim category. Like we have a member of our college Republicans at Illinois State University, young black girl, one of the most conservative people I know, and she always talks about how all the time she's told that she's a victim. You're a victim. And it's like white liberals that are telling her, you're a victim. She's like, no, I'm not. Screw off. Screw you. I'm not a victim. Once again, anything that's the great thing about America. Within reason, anything that you want to do, you can if you put your mind to it. And I think it's an amazing thing that oftentimes gets lost on us because all the time we become a slave to the thoughts of I can't do it. I'm not good enough. Tomorrow, I'll just do it all tomorrow. And then tomorrow never comes. And that's not how it is. You literally can wake up one day and say, I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to quit smoking or I'm going to smoke less or obviously things take steps, but whatever you want to do in your life can start today. I'm a firm believer it starts with a change in mindset and then implementing that mindset into action. I mean, that's how I've lost weight. That's how I've cut significantly on nicotine intake. I'll tell you, I've had an issue with nicotine addiction in my life. Cut significantly on that because I just changed my mindset. For a long time, I'd tell myself things. I can't do it. I can't do it. And then one day, I was like, I have to do it. I have to. I looked in the mirror and hated what I saw, and I said, no more of this can't BS. I have to do it. So here I am. I'll agree with you on this one. Absolutely. But we'll be right back, everybody. We're coming back here in a sec. I got a caller on the line, and he's going to talk a little bit. And I encourage anybody to call. I obviously have some things I want to talk about that I want to get to. Just about to come back here. Hey, Bloomington Normal and beyond. Welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9. Like I said, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois. And I also want to make a quick announcement because if you're just tuning in, if this is the first time you've ever tuned in, thank you so much. If you've been a longtime listener, I appreciate you just as much. God bless you guys. It's because of you guys that I'm able to do this because if no one listened, they'd shut me down. But speaking of people listening, it is coming up. I believe it's sometime this week, 2 years of Speechless. Speechless is turning 2 years old. Now, we're only recent on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, and everything like that. But this is a show that has been on the air on Cities for almost just about 2 years. And that's insane for me to think about. Insane, because it started off with me and two buddies from college. Well, it really started from me and a buddy doing a podcast. We moved into a radio show. And then 2 years later, here I am. I'm still here. Josh Bender still joins the show a lot of times. He's obviously a good friend of mine. I'm going to bring him on next week to do kind of a 2-year recap. But I just want to let you guys know, it's a lot of fun talking to you guys, and I appreciate you. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. And speaking of people I appreciate, I'm bringing on a caller here. Caller on the line. We got George. George, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm enjoying today's summer weather. It's cool.
Yeah. It was a little rainy this morning, but it's great to be talking to you.
It's still doing that. But,
yeah.
But what I was calling about, Kevin, was you used the word morale.
Yeah.
Morality.
Moral.
I have my COVID's catching up to me.
Okay.
And morality, that's not, there's words that it's in our dictionary, but it's not in Democrats. God, Jesus Christ, America, the American flag, respect for people, common sense, and morality. They don't have any morality. And that's all of them. I don't care. They're just like the teachers union. I don't care how good that teacher is in these small towns. He still belongs to the teachers union. He's still bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if one woman, for all you people out there that know anything, one woman took the morning prayer out of our school, McNamara. 1960 she started, 1963 she did. Nobody, when I went to that school board meeting and they talked about what they did, I was the only man that stood up. Not one man stood up. They're cowards in this country today. They are just cowards. They don't care about America. In 2001, when they hit the towers, all the churches were full, standing room only. Now you go in there, all you hear is echo, hello, 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 you know?
Yeah.
Because nobody shows up. But this woman that's doing that, that's what, to me, that would be pornography.
Well, it is. I mean, what she did with her husband was pornography. We were talking, for anybody, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about a Virginia state rep candidate that has been found out to have had filmed and posted videos on pornographic websites of her and her husband having sex. And obviously, there's a question of morality when it comes into it. But I also believe that the majority of people have become kind of numb. Like, while it's a weird instance and people are interested in talking about it for a sense of gossip's sake, I think many people are pretty numb to sex scandals in politics. And the real scandal here is how she claims that Republicans are trying to silence her and that they're committing sex crimes for talking about it.
Well, you know, I'll tell you something about your Democrats and all these people that don't want the police. I remember my uncle would call telling me, because I'm 80 years old after World War II. He said, you know, son, he said, you could always tell the atheist, the biggest atheist in the group, because when the shells started flying overhead and they were in the foxholes, they were the ones yelling, oh, God, the loudest.
Yeah.
And my point of that story is every time, like the mayor of Chicago, midget, Tiny Lightfoot, whatever it is.
The former mayor, yes, Lightfoot.
Yeah, who does not like white people, but her boyfriend or her husband, for you folks that don't know, is white. She's 6'1.5" tall, volleyball player, but the woman doesn't like white people. But anyway, that's another story.
Gotcha.
And so, but yeah, I mean, anytime you call somebody, there's no reason for special marriages for people. Oh, we have a right. You got no right for nothing. Your only right is just like any kid. The only right you have is that I feed you, clothe you, and treat you with respect. Okay, and give you an education. I don't owe you a new Mercedes. I don't owe you a Cadillac. I don't owe you a Game Boy or one of those Sony games that they play today.
Yeah.
I don't owe you none of that.
Yep.
You want a car? I told my kids the same as my dad told me. Yeah, Dad. Well, good. You get a job and buy one. Because my dad didn't drive.
Yep,
And he
absolutely.
lived to be 94. I got to drive him everywhere. He gave me that privilege. But yeah, people, I don't understand. People raise their kids to be independent. Why do people want their kids to be independent? What you want is your child to be self-sufficient. You wouldn't want to be on a battlefield with 50 men who are all independent. Where's Bill? Where's John? Where's Sue? You want people to stand and watch your back. That's self-sufficient. You raise your kids to be independent. They don't talk to you. They don't like you.
Absolutely.
And people
Absolutely.
don't understand that. I got 3 kids. All 3 of my kids own their own business. I didn't raise my kids to be independent. I raised my kids to be self-sufficient.
Absolutely. There's definitely a sense and a necessity to be able to form bonds with people, to work with them, that independence does not necessarily foster. I like the distinction that you make there, George.
And everybody, I raised my kid. What in the world is wrong with you people? Why do you think 2 people get married, 6, 7 years go down the road? I'm independent, she's independent. I don't need you, and I don't need you. They get a divorce.
Yep.
Why
Absolutely.
do you think we have 70 million abortions? We have 70 million abortions because there's no fathers where they belong, black and white. And so there's nobody there to teach their daughters, to train them, to protect them, to watch over the family anymore. And everything, kids pay for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Any divorces, mom can go her way, dad can go his way. But the kids pay for everything. I'm sick and tired. And do people listen to what they're saying? When I would do my 10 minutes with Paul, I want to tell him, hey, my call letters are, do you hear yourself talking?
Yeah.
I only went to the 9th grade. I talk history with people that have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
You think all this stuff, this gender stuff is new? I asked, do you know who Christina Gordonson was?
No, I do not.
Well, she was the original from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
She went to Stockholm and had that operation from a man to a woman in 1957.
Okay.
Okay. And so she went to Stockholm. This is nothing new.
You're right. You're right,
people,
George, that it's nothing new, but it's become much more prolific, and it's become, honestly, a psychological operation. I mean, when the majority of, or when you look at generational differences for millennials, their LGBTQ identifying population is somewhere around like 3 to 5%, at most 5%. It's not even that high, I don't think. As for my generation, Generation Z, it's near 19%. No other, millennials were the highest level of LGBTQ identifying. So you're right. Some of the gender theory stuff isn't anything new necessarily, but while it used to be a taboo small sector of society, it is now becoming radically integrated as if it's some level of normalcy. But there's nothing normal about a man pretending to be a woman and me having to abide by their delusion.
When people tell you, Kevin, what you do in your house is your business, to a certain extent it is.
Yeah, but if you start murdering people and hiding them in your apartment like Jeffrey Dahmer, that's somebody else's business.
And not only that, it's your business till you bring it out in the street.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Black Lives Matter. If I said to a black guy showing my thumb up because I'd cut it with a razor knife, and I said to him, why does Black Lives matter to everybody but the blacks? Oh, I don't want to hear that crap. And let me tell you something. I lived on the west side. You ask Ty what the west side is.
Yep.
I'm the only white guy for 2.5 miles. I slept with an M1 carbine next to my bed with 90 rounds of bullets and a 45 under my pillow. That's how good. 39 shootings, 9 murders in 5 minutes. You people down here know nothing whatsoever when it comes to dealing with blacks and stuff. If I said to him, he talks about white cops shooting 9 unarmed black men this is by the feds.
Mm-hmm.
This is their numbers. 19 unarmed white men shot by police. 7,500 from January 1st of 2021 to October, not even through October, 9 months.
Yep.
7,505 murders, black on black crime. If I was a black guy, I'd tell them all. If I was a black guy, I'd go stand next to a white cop.
Yeah.
And I've lived with blacks for 40 years of my life before I ever moved down to corn country.
Mm-hmm.
I lived with far more blacks than Obama did. You know?
No, I totally get you, George. George, I got a few more stories I got to get to here, but I always appreciate your call, and I think you brought definitely some interesting insight. Obviously, I know the race relation stuff is an interesting one for you, but I think the gender one, especially, you're right. None of this is new. A lot of this is the same.
It falls under the same thing.
Yep. It all falls under the same thing.
The racial and all this is being pushed and pushed and pushed.
Mm-hmm.
For all you folks out there, you want to watch a black pastor, his name is Peterson, Jesse Lee Peterson, and he's a black man, and he'll tell you exactly how sick and tired it is. He's just like Ty talking about these people doing what they're doing, and that covers the gays and the blacks and everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for calling in, George, and it's great talking to you. Yep.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. So that was George calling in, and everybody, if you'd like to be involved in the show and share your thoughts and some things, we got a little bit off on a tangent there, and that's okay sometimes, but I got to get us back onto track here. But if anybody would like to call in and talk about some of these things that we're talking about here today, don't forget, you could text or call in at 309-451-9299, and you can be involved in the show. But I want to before I get to this next break here, I want to intro this next story, because this is what we're going to talk about for the majority of the rest of the show, is the impeachment inquiry that has been opened up into Joe Biden. Obviously, a very different story than what we have talked about earlier in the show, but an impeachment inquiry was opened into Joe Biden. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy announced earlier this week. I have that clip. I'm pulling it up right now. We're not going to play the entire thing, but we'll be able to listen. Just a very simple kind of outline as to what Kevin McCarthy has to say regarding the opening of this impeachment inquiry. Here's that.
Taken together, these allegations paint a picture of a culture of corruption. Now, here's what we know so far. Through our investigations, we have found that President Biden did lie to the American people about his own knowledge of his family's foreign business dealings. Eyewitnesses have testified that the president joined on multiple phone calls and had multiple interactions. Dinners resulted in cars and millions of dollars into his son's business partners.
Yep.
We know that bank records show that nearly $20 million in payments were directed to the Biden family members and associates through various shell companies. The Treasury Department alone has more than 150 transactions involving the Biden family and other business associates that were flagged as suspicious activity by U.S. banks. Even a trusted FBI informant has alleged a bribe to the Biden family. Biden used his official office to coordinate with Hunter Biden's business partners about Hunter's role in Burisma, the Ukrainian energy company. Finally, despite these serious allegations, it appears that the president's family has been offered special treatment by Biden's own administration, treatment that not otherwise would have received if they were not related to the president.
So, and then he obviously says that he's opening an impeachment inquiry into the president, into President Biden. And here's the thing, is many of us that are listening knew a lot of this already, right? Because if you listen to my show, I always talk about this. I lay out a lot of different things that Biden does that it's like, man, that's really sketchy. And in this instance, we had Kevin McCarthy that comes out and lays out a bunch of evidence to say, hey, maybe we need to look into this. And so we're opening an impeachment inquiry. And by the way, an impeachment inquiry just says, hey, there's a lot of sketchy things. We need to have more power to investigate this, a broader power to investigate this. That's what an impeachment inquiry is. It is not a conviction. It is not even starting official proceedings of impeachment yet. It is an inquiry. It is a question, an inquisition, a questioning. But the Democrats, oh man, Their narrative is hilarious. Despite all that evidence that McCarthy just laid out, they claim there's none. And the liars will continue to lie, and they lie and lie, and they lie to you. They lie to me. They'll lie about their lies. And we're going to cover all that in the next segment, everybody. We got to take a break here on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Thank you so much for listening. Like I said, we'll be right back. Don't forget, you can text or call in at 309-451-9299 and be involved in the show. Everybody, impeachment coming up. Okay, let's see what we got going on. I see this chat starting to blow up. So you got more people joining. That. We're gonna get another video queued up here. Because impeachment, everybody, it's coming. It's coming. Impeachment is coming, I'll tell you. Biden's a corrupt guy. He's a very corrupt guy. Probably one of the most corrupt presidents we've had in American history, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Ryan, I'd love to see where you got this, because that's a very interesting take. I just haven't really seen anything that leads me to believe that, but that's an interesting, very interesting take. Maybe they just think that because Trump gets indicted, and so they're like, oh man, like Trump's indictment helps him in the polls. So this is 100% true. Guillotine is right on this one. Andrea believes we're getting gaslit. Maybe. But I also, yeah, I was trying my best. I'm not the best at a Trump impression. This shows how mainly their rhetoric and general attitude about family crimes and now impeachment. Yeah, I can see that. We'll be back here in just about a little over a minute, everybody. A little over a minute, and then we're going to get into more of this. Look at the Democrat narrative. Oh, Biden is trying to get locked up like Trump. I got you. That's funny. This is what we're going to talk about, Jim. This is what we're going to talk about. Like, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. There's no evidence. Where's the evidence, huh? Where's the evidence? Everybody always wants to talk about evidence. What evidence? What are we talking about here? Thank you, Jim. I try my hardest. I do the best that I can. I just got the hand motions down a lot. That's what I really got. I got the hand motions, and I've got a little bit of the face. Just a little bit of the face. Doing a Trump during my break. Just trying to be a little entertaining. Might be one of the best shows you've ever seen. Speechless with Phares. It's probably the greatest podcast and radio show in YouTube history, I tell you. All right, we're coming back here. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. Everybody's sex, lies, and conversation. That's today what we're talking about. We had sex in the first hour. We had talked all about a Virginia Democrat who is running for their state house, who is now steeped in controversy because she posted videos of herself having sex with her husband. And wow, if you missed any of that, guys, don't worry. We podcast our shows. You can also go onto YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble. Watch all of these and listen. All you got to do is look up Speechless with Phares on any of those. Last name Phares. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. But now we're on to impeachment. I played a little bit of in the last segment. I played a little bit of McCarthy announcing the impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. And now I want to play the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, He is obviously representative for the Democrats, and he is and he's just a very interesting guy. And what he has to say about the impeachment inquiry, man, it's very different than what McCarthy says. What McCarthy did is he laid out all these different things that would seem to be sketchy behavior from the Bidens and the Biden crime family. Hakeem Jeffries says something totally different. Let's take a look and a listen at this clip right here.
Extreme MAGA Republicans have launched an illegitimate impeachment inquiry that is a kangaroo court, fishing expedition, and conspiracy theater rolled into one.
Wow, that was so far, that was just a lot of nothing coming from his mouth. It's all extreme MAGA Republicans. And then I'm just going to say all these buzzwords to make it sound interesting. Okay, Hakeem, let's keep listening.
There is not a shred of evidence that President Joe Biden has engaged in wrongdoing. There is not a shred of evidence that President Joe Biden has committed an impeachable offense. There is not a shred of evidence that President Joe Biden has committed a crime. This is an illegitimate impeachment inquiry. Period. Full stop.
Period. Full stop. Oh, that's funny, Hakeem. That's funny. No, here's the thing. Okay. So there's a few things with this. First off, there is absolutely evidence to show that Joe Biden may have committed an impeachable offense and possibly a crime. There's absolutely evidence to show that. However, let's assume Hakeem is a little bit right. Let's say that Republicans didn't really have anything, and we might have just maybe had like a rumor or a tip from somebody. You can still open an impeachment inquiry for that, because the purpose of an impeachment inquiry is not saying we have all the evidence and we know all the answers. No, an impeachment inquiry, by definition of the word inquiry, to inquire, to question, the entire purpose of that is to say, hey, there's a lot of sketchy stuff. Let's find out. Let's find the answers. Let's bring the evidence. Let's find the evidence if there is evidence. Or if nothing happened, let's find that out too. The purpose of an impeachment inquiry is to find answers and to see if there is that evidence. But Hakeem Jeffries is an idiot that obviously does not know that that's what it's about. Now, here's the biggest part of this story, I'll tell you, is the White House came out with a memo last week that they sent it was a memo sent from Ian Sams, who's a spokesman for the White House counsel's office, that attempts to dictate how the media can report on the impeachment inquiry. Here's some of what it says. After nearly 9 months of investigating, House Republicans haven't been able to turn up any evidence of the president doing anything wrong. Once again, totally negates the definition of an impeachment inquiry and negates everything that McCarthy said in his announcement. Along with that, impeachment is a grave, rare, and historic process. The Constitution requires treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Reporting that solely focuses on process rather than substance is woefully inadequate when it comes to something as historically grave as impeachment. And then in bold, in this memo, in a memo from the White House to the media, it says this, quote, "It's time for the media to ramp up its scrutiny of House Republicans for opening an impeachment inquiry based on lies." So the media is the White House is actively trying to tell the media how you are allowed to report on the impeachment inquiry. That's what it's saying. You have to have more scrutiny over House Republicans. You're being too hard on Joe Biden. That's what the White House is trying to dictate. No more First Amendment, anybody. No more freedom of press. No, now the White House actively and publicly tells the media how they are supposed to report on this, which is absolute bull crap. And we're going to cover that more a little bit in the next segment. There's a little bit more to the memo, but I got to take a break here on the radio. Everybody stay tuned for more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Oh, I gotta family friend listening live right now. I don't know if he's listening on YouTube or the app or anything, but my good friend Mike is a county board member up in Livingston. Thank you, Mike, for listening. I'll make sure I say that on the radio too, just in case you're not listening here. Hope everybody's having a great day. Let's see what we got going on in this in these chats. Things that make you go, skip Biden and go after Obama. I see what you're saying. But I want the answers to the Biden stuff. We might not even ever get them, but I'd like them. Seriously. He must have beans in his ears. I've never heard that that phrasing before, but you're right. Must have beans in his ears. This is funny. Hey, DG, this is so true right here, but also great to see you too. Yeah, I could totally see this too, GG. Agreed. How is the Dallas defense doing this week? Last week, the Dallas defense got like 2 touchdowns, and it was amazing. I know I'm switching to football real quick, but I got my game up there. Dallas is up 10. New York Jets actually have points on the board at 7. And I have the Dallas defense on my fantasy team. Everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, or even if it's not, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, ring it to all though. And I need to know that you guys are actually getting the notifications, because there's been a few videos that I post. Some will get like a few hundred views. Great. Love it. But then I'll have some where I'll post it and only get like 20. And I don't know if it's because the content's bad, but I thought the content was pretty good. I do well-researched stuff. So I just want to know. So make sure you ring that notification bell. I'll share this with your friends. If everybody who watches myself shares with one person, then that would start doubling the viewership, and thus getting these messages, making it so that these are even more interactive shows, getting more perspectives, more ideas, everything like that. I'd love to make sure that we can keep growing this. So try that out. I'd appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share, comment, everything like that. We'll be back here soon on the radio talking more about impeachment. And then if I have time, which I hope I have time, I'm going to talk about Trump, because I have some bones to pick with him. Because as many of you know, I am a conservative. I am not a Republican. I tend to vote Republican, but I much more identify as a conservative. And some of the things Trump has been saying lately have not been the most conservative, and I've been a little unhappy about that. And so we're gonna share some of that if I got time. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds. All right. But the sheeple will believe what they are told. The sheeple will always believe what they're told. Andrea, you know that. I know that. We all know it. You know it. I know it. We all know it. I don't remember that's from, but zero evidence. Bank records. Phone. Yep. Absolutely, Ryan. I always like to say, too, if you're interested in supporting the show, hit up Venmo, Cash App, guys. I'd really appreciate it. Or send a super chat. But let's get back here to the show. Hey, Bloomington Normal. Welcome back to Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. I'm your host, Kev Phares. And gosh, I am so happy to be talking with you guys. this beautiful Sunday. God bless you guys. God bless America. We're talking about impeachment right now. The impeachment inquiry opened into Joe Biden. And while a lot of us who listen here know that there's a lot of sketchy things surrounding the Biden crime family, nothing is weirder to me than the fact that this impeachment inquiry comes out and the White House sends a memo that dictates how the media is supposed to be reporting on the impeachment inquiry. Seriously. In bold letters, it says it is time for the media to ramp up its scrutiny of House Republicans for opening an impeachment inquiry based on lies. That's what this memo says to the media. Further, the memo states, Republicans say X, but the White House says Y is a disservice to the American public who relies on the independent press to hold those in power accountable. Okay, so this memo literally says that objective journalism, saying that here is what both sides are saying, is a disservice to the American public. This is you want to know everything the White House is saying? This is what the White House is saying. There is no evidence and Republicans are liars. Repeat that. Repeat that, media. Go out and repeat that. People will start to believe it. Journalism that covers both sides is a disservice to Americans because we have a narrative that they need to believe so that they will sit down, shut up, and obey. That's what the White House is telling the media to do. When in reality, well, all these Democrats, and now even the media will tell you that there's no evidence. Here's the evidence. Witness testimony from Devin Archer, statements from Tony Bobulinski, texts from Hunter Biden's computer, WhatsApps from Hunter Biden's computer, Joe Biden's statements on leveraging the ouster of Viktor Shokin in Ukraine. Unexplained income to Joe Biden, a lifetime of corruption, nepotism, and family benefits from Joe Biden. There's a lot of evidence to open up an impeachment inquiry. In fact, there's more evidence for this impeachment inquiry than there was for Trump's. Trump's first impeachment inquiry was opened from an anonymous tip from a third party, somebody that thought they had heard something about the phone call from Ukraine. That's what opened up the impeachment inquiry into Trump. So for anybody to say that there is no evidence, that there's no evidence that this is a kangaroo court, as Hakeem Jeffries would say, is an idiot, a liar, and a shill for Biden and the entirety of his corrupt scheme. The Democrats are trying to frame Trump right now as a criminal and as a mob boss. Well, we all know 10% went to the big guy being Joe Biden. So who's the real mob boss? Who's the real corrupt guy? Who's the real criminal? I'll tell you, it's probably Biden. But speaking of Trump, moving on a little bit, I actually am starting to believe, I've known this for a little bit. I don't believe Trump is as conservative as he says. Oh my God, Kevin, you're going against what Cities people usually say. Yes, a lot of people at Cities 92.9 are very, very pro-Trump. I'm not anti-Trump, but I'm also realistic. I am realistic. I do not believe Trump is as conservative as he says. And so for the end of the show, because I got this segment, the end of this segment, and one more, I have some clips here I want to talk about because while he is currently the presidential front runner for the Republican Party, I, one, don't trust polls, but two, want everybody to be an informed voter. And so here are some clips. Here's actually just from this morning on Meet the Press, Trump discussing abortion. You know how a lot of people try to say, and I've said it for a while, that Trump, I don't believe Trump is personally pro-life. If you look at his history, not only sexually, but just like kind of the people he's supported, the things he's done, I don't think that he's particularly pro-life. But a lot of people would always come back to me and be like, well, it's his Supreme Court that got Roe v. Wade overturned. Okay, cool. Listen to what he had to say on Meet the Press that aired this morning about abortion. Just listen.
Mr. President, I want to give voters who are going to be weighing in on this election a very clear sense of where you stand on
I think
this?
they're all going to like me. I think both sides are going to like me.
Let me, but let
What's
Mr.
going to
President,
have to
Mr.
happen
President,
is you're
let me
going to
just
have to
ask this question,
listen.
please.
You're asking me a question. What's going to happen is you're going to come up with a number of weeks or months. You're going to come up with a number that's going to make people happy, because 92% of the Democrats don't want to see abortion after a certain period of time.
If a federal ban landed on your desk, if you were reelected, would you sign it at 15
Are you talking about a complete ban?
A ban at 15 weeks?
Well, people are starting to think of 15 weeks. That seems to be a number that people are talking about right now.
Would you sign that?
I would sit down with both sides and I'd negotiate something, and we'll end up with peace on that issue for the first time in 52 years. I'm not going to say I would or I wouldn't. I mean, DeSantis is willing to sign a 5-week and 6-week ban.
Would you support that? You think
I think what he did is a terrible thing and a terrible mistake.
Wait. So Trump, who I'm told by many people that are very, very, very MAGA, and I'm told that Trump is so pro-life. Now, I'll admit he had accomplishments for the pro-life side, but he just said that the Florida 5 to 6 week ban on abortion is a bad thing, and it's a terrible thing. Why? Why is that a terrible thing? Protecting life that begins at conception, and he's pulling this 15-week number out of his butt? No, Trump is not as conservative as a lot of people would like to claim. He's simply not. And here's another example of this. Trump goes on Megyn Kelly's show this last week. And Megyn Kelly, obviously, great host. It's kind of funny because she was obviously the one that went right after Trump in the debates a few years ago. She's not afraid. She will not shy away from difficult questions. And so this is a little bit of a longer video. We're going to cut it up a little bit. Hopefully I can get to most of it. But this is Trump and Megyn Kelly discussing trans issues. And why is this important, right? I think this is very important to talk about, that we should not be mutilating children. We should also be standing up for objective truth, that men cannot become women and women cannot become men. So let's take a listen to what some of the things that Trump has to do and his history on trans issues.
2016, you said that Caitlyn Jenner, who is trans, could use the women's restroom at Trump Tower. You allowed biological men to compete in the Miss Universe pageant at the time, which you owned. A lot has changed since 2016. Have you?
Yeah, well, I have, but look, I knew Caitlyn Jenner. This is very much like the same subject we just talked about. This was brand new.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a brand new subject also. There's a lot
it hadn't exploded.
A lot of it hadn't exploded. I mean, nobody talked about it really. And so they're saying, what do you think? And people say, yes, use, no use. But I'm the one that wouldn't allow it in the military. That was a big move. I wouldn't allow it in the.
That was good. That was a good thing. But keep listening to some of the things that Trump has to say regarding his stances. He's eventually asked specifically, can a man become a woman?
The military. And I went to generals. I say, General, let me ask you, do you like it? The real generals, not the ones you see on television, not the Millies of the world. I went to the real generals. I said, what do you think? And they did not like it. They did not like it. Nobody wanted to go public with it. It's a very hard subject. I ended it in the military. Now, since this character got in, he's allowed it in the military. You know, part of the problem is you'd have to take massive amounts of drugs. In the military, you're not allowed to take drugs. And you have to take massive amounts of drugs. So right there, it should not be allowed. But I took a lot of heat. No matter what you do there, you're going to take heat. You understand?
Yeah.
But
yeah, how do you
Caitlyn Jenner, was she allowed?
Should biological men who say that they're trans be allowed in women's restrooms, in women's locker rooms, women's prisons, women's spaces?
Yeah, my stance on that is really pretty much what I had in the military. I think it has to be. Huh?
No, they shouldn't.
Yeah, that's my stance. I mean, that's been my stance. I may have allowed Caitlyn. Caitlyn's Caitlyn, right? I knew Caitlyn as Bruce. I knew Bruce, and Bruce was a great athlete and a very handsome person, very handsome guy. And all of a sudden, Bruce is Caitlin. I said, "What's this all about?" This was a brand new subject too, just like we talk about. The pandemic was a subject that nobody knew anything about. Nobody knew anything about it. It was all early. You make a decision, and you make the decision very strongly.
No, I get it. Look, I myself have changed a lot on this
Yeah, I
issue
have.
since
I have.
2016. I'm just trying to figure out whether you have in fact reversed on it.
I don't think I've changed. I think I've just, at
Just
the
wait.
beginning, it was such a small subject. Nobody really thought about it. But then with time, you change. Where I probably took the hardest line was on the military.
Yeah, that's true. What about the children? That's become an issue now. Should children be provided with access to puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones when they're minors?
I'm so against it. First
Good.
of all, many of them, I heard like 62%, when they grow up, when they're older, they're saying, "Who did this to me? Why did you do this to me?" Second of all, the parents have to make the decision. They're trying to give it to school boards and schools and things to make a decision. It's unbelievable to think. I talk about mutilation sometimes in my speeches. We will stop the mutilation of children. And then I'll stop and I'll say to the people in the audience, I'll say, "Can you imagine that I'm talking about we're going to stop mutilation of children?" But that's what it is. It's the mutilation of children.
So far, what we're hearing right now is one, he's not super for the trans stuff. He's obviously against it for children, which is a great stance to have. That's the majority of Americans are like that. But he's very, very, at least tolerant of a distortion of truth when it comes to Bruce Jenner. At some point here, I'm trying to find the exact point, but he's asked, can a man become a woman? And that's the question and answer I want everybody to hear.
In favor of a ban then on puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for minors?
I think yes. Yep. I would.
Can a man become a woman?
Here we go.
In
That should be a quick no, a man cannot become a woman. That's what it should be. But just listen to that one more time.
In my opinion, you have a man, you have a woman. I think part of it is birth. Can the man give birth? No. Although they'll come up with some answer to that also someday. I heard just the other day they have a way that now the man can give birth. No, I would say I'll continue my stance on that.
See, but it should. Why did he hesitate? Again, Trump even allowed a biological man to compete in Miss Universe when he was heading that up. And you should also hear everything that he has to say about COVID. I'm going to try to get to at least 1 to 2 quotes regarding what he had to say about COVID in the Megyn Kelly interview. But here's the point that I want to make. Look, Trump is the greatest president in my lifetime. But we need to be realistic here. Trump is not a conservative or a hardcore conservative at a minimum. Trump is a person that knew the policies that he needed to discuss and also push and then legislate to get elected and to be considered a good president. Great with economy, great with immigration. But as it comes to social issues, some of the ones that are plaguing our schools, plaguing our institutions, he doesn't really care that much. Abortion, transgender issues. And honestly, he could have handled COVID better. And it would be a great thing if he could admit that, but he won't. Everybody, we'll be right back with more Speechless. I know this probably isn't your favorite thing to hear, but I'm being realistic with you. And here's the thing is it's a show for all of us. And so if you don't like what I have to say about Trump, always text or call in at 309-451-9299. Let's have the debate. I'd be more than happy to. Everybody, will be right back with more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Okay, I know I made the comments section blow up a little bit on that. No, actually, this is actually a lie, DG. I saw this comment when I was just getting off of abortion, but this is actually not true. Not everyone is confused about when life actually begins. According to a study of over 5,000 biologists, the majority of which lean Democrat out of the University of Chicago, 96% of biologists agree that life begins at conception. 96% of biologists agree that life begins at conception. Again, it's the largest, most comprehensive study of biologists done when it comes to the issue of when life begins. And 96% of them agree that life begins at conception. Not everyone is confused by this. People that do not do their research are confused by this. DG, so I know I just encourage people to call in, and I do want to talk about it, and we can maybe push it till next week, just because I only have 9 minutes left of my show, and I gotta wrap it up. But I do want to have the conversation. I'm driving you nuts. I'm sorry. This is where I'm at with it. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm not discounting. I've talked so often on this show. I guess that's probably DG calling. Speeches with Kev Phares. Who am I talking to? Chatterbait is what it was. Chatterbait is what it's called. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, yep. Yes, something like that. I believe. You look up the news articles about it, like if you want to find out anything more. There's tons of news articles. All you got to do is just look up Virginia House candidate porn. Basically, yeah. Okay. Yep. Somebody wanted to know where they could find the videos, for a friend. So for yes, next week, DG. I'll go into Trump next week. We can have the debate. We can have the debate. We'll do it next week, just because I need, and I know I brought it up later. It was my tertiary story this week. Because obviously I had my other stories that I was starting with, and I'm sorry, I'm driving you nuts. I'm just calling it like I see it. That's what I gotta do. You guy. That's where I'm at with it. I care about the ideology. I don't think Trump represents conservatism. Or at least he's not the best representative of conservatism. I'm not. So here's the thing. Here's where we're not communicating right then, DG. Is I'm not claiming that Trump claimed to be a conservative, but a significant portion of his following labels and frames themselves as conservatives. And so it would seem cognitively dissonant to say I'm a conservative and Donald Trump is my candidate, because I don't believe that Donald Trump is the number one conservative. I also don't. He's a populist more so. But see, again, this is an example of somebody who follows him. I don't think Trump is the most conservative candidate in the race. And we are back with Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. Everybody, we're wrapping up the show here. I just got a little bit more to cover when it comes to Trump. right? I know, I know a lot of people that follow us are very, very big Trump supporters, and I get it. He did amazing things for this country when he was in office. However, I have a lot of doubts when it comes to this next election cycle. One of which is I believe his ego gets, and this is obviously a consistent attack against him. But I think that there's a serious issue of ego when it comes to Trump. And here's an example of that. So obviously, I covered in the last segment, Trump went on to Megyn Kelly's show, got grilled on a lot of different things. One of which being Fauci and how he decided to give a presidential medal of commendation to Fauci. Claimed that he had no idea it even happened, but it was his administration. It's on his website. It's on the website about him, or the archives, the White House archives. That's where it was. But I'm looking right here now, and we got other things that Trump had to say during this interview, and some of which were just like blatantly false. It absolutely was just blatantly false. And he decides to try to go after Florida a lot. And so here's one of those instances where he's being asked about like would he do anything different during COVID? And here's one of his answers.
Change history in Florida. Now, eventually Florida was open, but a lot of these other governors didn't shut down at all. South Dakota didn't shut down. McMaster, South Carolina, didn't shut down. Tennessee, there are states that didn't shut down at all. They probably did the best job.
But Ron DeSantis was under a lot of pressure, especially given the population, the age of a lot of Florida's citizens.
I'm not trying to blame anybody,
Okay.
but he should say, I closed it down. Eventually we opened it, but I closed it down. But I gave him the right to keep it open. If he wanted to, I let the governors make the determination as to whether or not to close it down.
But let me ask you this, because this is the number one question. I asked my audience, what would you like me to ask President Trump?
Okay.
These are your fans.
Okay.
This is the number one question they wanted me to ask you. That you shut the country down for 6 weeks in spring of 2020. Operation Warp Speed.
Excuse me.
Rushed
Right?
through.
I didn't really.
Let me ask their
but
question.
Megyn,
This is my audience's question. I got to get it
know,
out.
But I let the governors shut down. Some did and some didn't.
Okay.
Some didn't shut down at all.
Operation Warp Speed, though.
Yeah.
That was on the vaccines. They were rushed through. They have helped, but also hurt a lot of people. And your White House actually supported mask mandates. So wouldn't you like a do-over on any of that?
Listen to this.
Look, when this came in, nobody knew what the hell it was. It sounded like an ancient, pandemic. You thought that was from 200 years ago or from 1917. We never thought you'd have a pandemic. Nobody had any idea. We got word that bad things were happening in China right around the Wuhan clinic. And I was the one that said it was in the
We're coming
Wuhan
to the
clinic.
end of the show.
And,
But here's something I want to be clear when it comes to this, is Megyn Kelly on multiple occasions tried to give Trump an opportunity to say, in hindsight, there are things I could have done better, which to me would have been a very good thing for him to show that he actually has some level of humility. But instead, he consistently went in and attacked DeSantis when I have audio and video. It's on my YouTube. You can go watch it, of Trump talking about how open and how great DeSantis was and how it was all amazing. So make up your mind. Make up your mind. But I firmly believe Trump is not the most conservative candidate in this race. And I also believe that he should come out and say, wow, I messed up with Fauci, COVID, the jabs, everything like that. But what does my opinion matter anyways? Everybody, I appreciate you listening to it. Don't forget, next week, 3 to 5 more Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. God bless you. God bless America. And we'll be back next week. Okay. I got to get out of here pretty quick, but I wanted to address something. One, no, if the election were held today, I would be voting for Ron DeSantis is my plan. If the election were held today. Because he's the most conservative candidate in the race. There was another thing I wanted to say. If you're going to talk, because I told you this was not my headline story. I didn't know who would be listening and how much people would want to come out. And and talk about this. But we'll allow for callers next week. We'll make like half of the show next week. If all of you want to tune in from 3 to 5 next week, we can have a big conversation about this next week. Let's do that. So we can do that later. God bless you guys. God bless America. I got to go home and get some food. Thank you so much for tuning in this week for Speechless on Cities 92.9 News and Talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond.